You ever see a bouncy castle clear out faster than a Black Friday sale at Walmart? Yeah, me neither. At least not until that afternoon, the day Maple Ridge Estates learned what real nature looked like up close and personal. I remember it like it just happened, and honestly, I still grin a little every time I tell the story, though maybe you'll see why. So, picture this. The annual spring fling is in full swing, juice boxes flying, kids screaming, Linda Prescott, our fearless, self-appointed HOA queen, midway through one of her community spirit speeches, her voice bouncing off every vinyl siding in the neighborhood. And then, bam, the crowd just splits down the middle like Moses at the Red Sea. And all because, striding right through the playground mulch like he owned the place, was a mountain lion. Not a bobcat, not some lost golden retriever, a full-grown, muscles rippling, tail twitching, gold-eyed mountain lion. Right under the HOA banner, sniffing the air, sizing up the crowd. And, get this, the sign right above his head says, "Nature belongs to everyone. Respect our shared spaces." I nearly choked on my lemonade. Meanwhile, I'm sitting on my property line, outside the HOA zone, lawn chair and binoculars in hand, just watching this circus unfold, muttering, "Yeah, Linda, that's the den I warned you about." Snapped a photo, couldn't help myself. Behind me, that half-ripped notice the HOA taped to my door was flapping in the breeze. "Cease posting wildlife, fear-mongering signs," it said. Yeah, try telling that to the apex predator sniffing around your playground. But that's the thing about rules. Lions don't care. Insurance companies sure do, though. And I was just the quiet guy in lot 72. Mid-30s, single, used to be a wildlife biologist before I got tired of moving around and landed a remote job as a data analyst. Grew up in the foothills, came to Maple Ridge because it's backed right up to this gorgeous green belt. Oak, chaparral, rocky outcrops, the kind of place you don't see in the city. I loved three things: silence, my backyard trail cams, and being left alone by neighbors with clipboards. But the HOA? They love clipboards like a dog loves bacon. Every house, same paint swatch, same mailbox, emails about unauthorized wind chimes, you know the type. The Facebook group is 1 part neighborhood watch, 2 parts Real Housewives of Suburbia. And presiding over it all, the mighty Linda Prescott. Bob-cut helmet hair, pink visor, and a look that says, "I run this place and maybe the whole universe." Her pride and joy. The new playground, built right at the edge of the green belt, on land they decided was wasted. Except my cameras had picked up something out there. Something big. A female mountain lion, one ear notched, slipping in and out of this rocky hollow, a den. The HOA saw a playground. I saw a nursery. Guess whose opinion counted less? I did what any stubborn wildlife nerd would do. Showed up to their green belt improvement night, clutching printed stills, maps, and a carefully rehearsed, polite little speech about coexisting with nature. Waited through 30 minutes of Linda droning about maximizing amenities, then raised my hand. "Hi, Marcus, lot 72, former wildlife biologist. Look, you're clearing land that's an active mountain lion den. I have camera footage. If you build a playground there, you're basically building a Chuck E. Cheese on their front porch." Parents started to look a little green. Linda, though, she smiled that tight customer service smile of a woman about to hit report on your Facebook comment. "Thank you, Marcus. Parks and Rec said there's wildlife in the region, but that's not the same, is it?" I held up a night vision shot of the lion, 20 feet from their flags. "This isn't in the region. It's under the slide. Someone in the back. Holy crap." Linda, undeterred. "We can't let fear dictate community improvements." You ever get the feeling your words are bouncing off Tupperware? Because that's how it went. Within days, I'm getting violation notices for my backyard cameras, unapproved exterior devices. The little handmade sign I put up, "Active Wildlife Area, Supervised Children," was ripped down, replaced with an HOA-approved one. "Do not post unauthorized signage." Then they blast out an email. "We've received reports of residents spreading alarmist rumors about dangerous wildlife. Please know your board has everything under control." I'm watching footage of the lion dragging a deer through the brush, just shaking my head, printing photos even bigger, taping them to my window. Not for drama, just documentation. The HOA patrol volunteers start calling my house the conspiracy shack. Then one morning, there are 2 fresh notices taped to my door. One demanding I remove all predator warning material. The other saying they've cut back green belt brush adjacent to the playground to discourage animals, and that there is no den or lair nearby. I just stood there, reading that line, thinking, yeah, that'll do. It took a walk down to where the brush used to be, now just bald dirt and stumps up to the den's lip. 40 yards from the shiny new playground. That's not discouraging, I muttered. That's Flushing. Sure enough, the lion had 2 options: relocate or start patrolling along the only cover left, right past the playground, the clubhouse, the walking path. I dropped the nice guy act and emailed everyone. HOA board, city wildlife, state fish and game, with photos, maps, and 2 trail cam clips labeled Night Patrol near HOA flags and lion scenting fresh brush cuts. Wildlife said they'd review. HOA replied instantly. Please cease contacting external agencies on behalf of the community without board approval. You are making us look alarmist and litigious. I almost laughed. But Linda, oh Linda, she posted in the Facebook group, despite one resident's exaggerated claims, there's no mountain lion danger. Our new playground is safe and ready for spring fling. Bring the kids. My jaw hit the floor. I moved my cameras to cover the playground, the greenbelt path, the clubhouse lawn. Didn't go to spring fling. I sat in my backyard with my tablet, streaming the feeds, watching the shadows stretch across the ridge. At 6:42 p.m., camera 3 picked up movement that made my stomach drop. The lion, not slinking but strutting, pausing at the freshly exposed den, then gliding down the corridor the HOA had so helpfully landscaped, straight toward the party. I grabbed my phone, called the wildlife officer, sent them the live feed, then called 911. There's a mountain lion in the playground. Kids everywhere. I have video. Meanwhile, back at the party, Linda's still handing out juice pouches and scolding someone about folding chairs when a shout goes up, "Big cat." Some people panic, some freeze, a few think it's a prank, until the lion steps right out from behind a boulder onto the wood chips. Suddenly, everyone agrees. Parents start grabbing kids. Cotton candy goes flying. Linda tries yelling, "Don't run," as if HOA bylaws apply to wildlife. 2 things happen quick. A sheriff's cruiser screeches in, lights blazing, followed by a state wildlife truck. The officer on the phone. Yes, I see her. Yes, this is the HOA that cut the den. That's me on the perimeter, arms crossed, tablet in hand. The wildlife officer walks up. "Mister Hale, you've been sending us footage." "That's me," I say. She sighs. "You were right about all of it. That playground is a nightmare. They really cut right to the den." I hand over the email chain. While officers clear the playground, using non-lethal methods to nudge the lion back into the greenbelt, Linda storms over, voice at a full shriek. "This is your fault. Your gloom and doom emails, your fake signs." The wildlife officer holds up the emails. "No, ma'am, it isn't. You were warned, in detail, by a subject matter expert. You chose to expand into predator habitat, disturbed a den, and told residents there was no danger." Linda's mouth opens and closes. Nothing comes out. Then the officer adds, "And now my supervisor wants to know why an HOA board overruled wildlife recommendations. We'll need statements from everyone." Right there by the bouncy castle, the power shifted. Suddenly, I wasn't the crazy neighbor with cameras. I was Mr. Hale, expert witness. That footage hit the local news before Linda could draft a single damage control email. Clips of the lion under the slide, survey flags creeping closer, the brush being stripped, the lion pacing, and finally, that now famous shot of a mountain lion striding onto a playground under a flapping HOA banner. News anchor voice. Experts say the HOA was repeatedly warned by a former wildlife biologist living in the community. Warnings the board allegedly ignored. Allegedly did a lot of work there. The week that followed? Pure chaos. City council demanded answers. The HOA's insurance company wanted every scrap of correspondence about wildlife risk. 2 families got lawyers. The board called an emergency meeting, supposed to be private, but half the neighborhood showed up and someone live-streamed it. People printed out Linda's Facebook posts about exaggerated claims. Linda tried to open with, "There's been a lot of misinformation, but my attorney," yeah, I brought one, stood up and laid a folder on the table. What we have is documentation. Every email, every notice, every dismissal of expert advice. The HOA's lawyer looked ready to crawl under the table. You were informed there was a den. You increased use, removed cover, told families there was no danger. That's negligence at best. At worst, she glanced at the insurance rep, who cleared his throat. Given the liability exposure, we're suspending coverage for the playground pending a full safety assessment and may reevaluate our policy if this continues. Translation, you made us look stupid. Now you pay. Somebody in the back, a mom, voice shaking. Why didn't you listen to him? He does this for a living. Linda, red-faced, tries, "We can't let one resident dictate, but a dad interrupts whether kids get eaten." I'm okay with that kind of dictatorship. The vote of no confidence wasn't even on the agenda, but it happened, motion to remove Linda as president. Seconded, thirded, carried. The live stream caught every second, including the exact moment Linda realized she'd lost everything in front of the entire neighborhood and a few thousand people online. State Wildlife's final report landed a week later. The HOA ignored repeated expert warnings, created a dangerous situation through negligence. Linda personally fined $12,000 for violating state wildlife laws, named in 2 lawsuits for emotional distress. HOA insurance? Gone. Community forced to find new coverage at triple the price. I watched Linda, pale, shaking, as neighbors who used to smile and wave turned their backs one by one. Someone whispered, "You did this to yourself." And that was it. Linda Prescott's reign ended not with a bang, but with a door slamming quietly behind her as she walked out into the parking lot, alone. So, here's the real kicker. Would you want to live in a place where the folks in charge ignore the experts and gamble with your safety just to prove a point? Or is there a line where community spirit becomes community stupidity? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me, when you stand up and when do you move out? And hey, if you've got an HOA horror story of your own, don't hold back. Let's hear about it.